Recent gaming launches have been hit or miss, to say the least, with the dilution, with the low float, high FTV. Everything that's going on in the gaming market has been a little bit tumultuous, you could say, over the last few months. But right now, there is a project on the horizon that is launching in just a matter of days, which is XBorg, which I think can really turn the tides both with the token utility, the project scope, and everything that they're doing. I have the pleasure to speak with their team and bring that conversation to you today. We're going to go over everything in their ecosystem, the token, and everything going on with the esports teams that they're working with. So I'm really excited to get into this one. Without further ado, let's get in the game. As always, before we get started, like the video down below and subscribe to the channel. We're pushing towards 100K subs, but we need your help. Links down below in the description as well for all of our sponsors. But today, I have the pleasure of being joined by Lou and Connor from XBorg. How are you guys?
Hey, doing super good. Thanks so much for having us on this show. Super happy to discuss about XBorg, token launch, and all the cool stuff in the gaming world.
Absolutely. Connor, how are you?
Fantastic. Yeah, really looking forward to this.
Awesome. If you guys want to just start with a brief introduction, if someone might not obviously know who you are or what XBorg is, maybe a quick intro on both sides, and then also a quick TLDR high level. What is XBorg?
Yep. So personally, was background in traditional finance, worked at Credit Suisse and Rothschilds. Was in crypto quite early, was contributing to some DeFi protocols like MakerDAO, etc. I was a big gamer, and still I'm a big gamer. And we found some big asymmetries and opportunities in the gaming world, which is where I created XBorg, and I get to what XBorg is. But before that, Connor, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, Connor. Head of growth at XBorg, part of the founding team here, been building for the last 2.5 years. Yeah, just really excited for the future and the token launch coming up soon.
Yeah, and as far as what we do at XBorg, we're solving to us what seems to be one of the most prevalent issue in gaming, which is what you do in the real world, like let's say the CV that you build and the experiences that you get, all of those experiences are recorded. The main issue that you have in gaming is that whatever you do within the gaming the games or the gaming ecosystems that you interact with, those interactions are not recorded and they're not aggregated. And so what we build is this identity system whereby we record all of your history and we essentially give it to you as a player. And what this means is that you have access to utilities with that ID. Utilities can be customized gaming experiences, access to unique perks. When we talk about airdrops in the gaming, in the Web3 gaming space, today, when you give an airdrop to a gamer, you don't really know anything about this person. With our identity system, that just makes it so much simpler. There are a couple of things like matchmaking systems, which today are pretty inefficient. Just imagine getting into a game where the game knows who you are as a player, like how good you are on CS2 or League of Legends. And so we're building this whole identity system. And the big thing that we focus on today is the distribution of that identity system. Just like any network, it works at scale. And so you need to have some killer distribution. And today, that's been our biggest strength. We've partnered with Team Liquid, which is our biggest partnership to date. Team Liquid is one of the best esports team in the world, hundreds of thousands of fans, and they are using our identity system to empower their fans and getting to know their fans in a lot more depth. But not just Team Liquid, but also NIP and Team EDS. And there are more than 10 esports teams that we've signed that will launch through the year. And we've been building for the last 2 years. We've been through tough times, bear markets. Now we're launching a token in what seems to be not the best time if we look at crypto prices, but we'll just continue to build what we've built, and super excited for the days, weeks, and months ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to touch on a few things you said there. number one, on the back end of it, I think actually launching a token in the downtimes of the market is something that needs to be studied, because when you launch at peak euphoria, most projects end up seeing their all-time high right off the bat, and then they never get back to it, which I think is another common thing, that a lot of projects wait for perfect market conditions, but those perfect conditions are going to set up your FDV potentially to maybe not be realistic off the jump, and then your retail investors don't have a lot of opportunity that are coming in once it's live. So I actually think that that could be a strength. And then number two, Web3 gaming needs stuff like this. Like if I'm creating a profile and I'm jumping across game to game, maybe I'm not so good at open world MMORPGs, but I'm cracked at FPS, right? And it's, you know, all in my player reputation and my gamer tag. Like there's no Xbox Live or PlayStation Network in Web3. It's just wallet addresses. I don't want to be known as 0x84, you know what I mean? So I think this is very necessary in the natural evolution of Web3 gaming.
Yeah, well, we can always extend that to also AI. Like when you, today it's not so prevalent, but like it's going to be super hard to know if you're playing against an actual player or just a bot. And having this like proof of identity is something that's paramount for the future of gaming. And you know, we need actors that build those identity layers, and there are multiple of them. The goal is to aggregate them, not to compete with one another, but more so empower one another to add value to the space. And you know, coming back on the timing of the launch, XBorg is fully community backed. We have no VCs. We've never sold equity. We've only sold tokens, and we've only sold tokens to the community. So we sort of know how to navigate through this. We've done our first NFT mints back in September 2022, and you know, September 2022 was a hell of a tough time for the crypto market. That was right at the merge, and you had, you know, we had gone through stuff like 𝗬𝗎𝗧, you know, FTX and all of this drama. So we know how to build from the ground up, and you know, we're pretty confident about what we build, the fundamentals, our community. So to us, like launching when stuff is super hyped and doing all of the social fi campaigns doesn't really seem optimal. I think the way you build a successful community is when stuff go up, and people are euphoric on the way up, and also on the way down.
Yeah, and I know y'all's community is definitely, you know, very lively, excited. Like a few comments on my videos recently, like "expect us," which is talking about like XBorg, you know. So the community definitely shows out. Before we dive deeper into like the token and the esports side, which I'm super interested to hear how you guys are kind of penetrating that market with kind of, you know, the quote unquote crypto integration. But first and foremost, what are you guys' thoughts on where the gaming market is right now? I feel like it's been an up and down year. There's been some successes over the course of time, but a lot of people just in the general crypto space, I feel like have been a little bearish on the gaming landscape. What are your guys' thoughts on the current state of the gaming market?
Yeah, purely from an investment point of view, in 2021, gaming was the largest sector by investment from VCs. And so what we're seeing here is an over-dilution of gaming projects. And because you have a set amount of capital that's interested to buy into tokens and allocate into specific sector, you have like a set amount of capital willing to allocate into gaming. But because you had a crazy 2021, you're seeing a ton of dilution on the supply side. And what this means is like the sector overall is outperforming. And you know, in crypto, as a sort of trader, what you say is you need to double down on winners and cut down the losers. And because crypto gaming performances have been down only, you know, since essentially the start of 2024, you know, it doesn't set a good precedent for the industry. However, what we see is just like last cycle, in that second wave after the summer crash in 2021, what picked up is actually what was more fundamentally sound, and that was like Axie Infinity and stuff that actually brings adoption. Where we are today in the cycle is you know, crypto prices went up, but like no one new actually came into the space. So I think on the next way up, people will start wondering, okay, what actually brings people to crypto? And you have games like, 𝗡𝗟𝗧𝗥𝗧 that brings ton of new people to the space, and I think people will double down on those. So my view is that crypto gaming will pick up towards the end of the cycle, which I think if we were to have like a leg 2 of the cycle, it's probably going to get there. But yeah, obviously, I hold the same conviction as I did at the beginning of the cycle. Gaming is going to be one of the most, it's going to be the sector that will outperform the memes, will outperform AI, and will do tremendously well. You have tons of gems to accumulate. XBG will be one of them, but stuff like pixels, is looking very interesting at those price points.
Yeah, definitely. I'll chime in after, but Connor, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, obviously, gaming is underperformed. I think we all thought it was going to be pretty hot out of the gates this year. I like tokens like Pirate Nation, very much product focused, very much community focused. I think they are outperforming kind of the more hyped launches that we've seen. And I think that's because they took time building their product, took time building their community. That's the same thing that we've done at XBorg. And I think in the long term, medium term, that always prevails. So pretty bullish on projects like Pirate and a few others.
Yeah, definitely. A couple things. Obviously, the gaming market has underperformed. Meme coins are taking a lot of liquidity, a lot of new tokens in the space fighting for the same liquidity as well, right? Fighting for the same player base and the same liquidity. I feel like that's another struggle. As Lou mentioned, there's not new players coming in this kind of stage. It's just new projects. And then everyone's being so spread thin trying to figure out what they want to invest in. And then secondly, I feel like where gaming is now, we're much more product focused, and that's what's driven the market over the last year with Prime, Big Time, Pixels, Mavia. When those games kind of came up and gave like a flashy product hit, we saw the gaming market kind of tick up. So as crazy as it is, and as it feels like crypto people are so gullible for what they invest in, it feels like gaming investors have really kind of smartened up over time and don't just throw their money at anything that has a flashy cinematic trailer and says, we're building a game. So there's pros and cons to it.
Yeah.
But
I think, to add to this, and I think people will go back to more fundamentals. 2021 was essentially had not much fundamental with, as far as gaming was concerned, it was super early. But I think now people will look at, okay, what's the daily active users? You had the release of the grid, and people will look at how many players are looking at it, how many transactions does that generate. And I think Pirate Nation, for example, is a great project where they have the proof of play blockchain or like consensus, and I think that's one of the most used blockchain out there. And I think gaming has a lot to show for fundamentals as far as adoption is concerned, much more than AI or memes do.
Yeah, definitely. As far as a retail onboarding mechanism, gaming and meme coins have the biggest potential, I think, without a doubt. And I think we're on the cusp of maybe breaking into the mainstream on a few products. And that leads me to my next question. I ask all my guests the same question because it's just so interesting to hear. So I want to hear from both of you. Do you forever see that Web3 gaming is just this small sector in the big gaming pie? Or do you ever see Web3 maybe kind of breaking into the everyday game that people jump into? So basically, do you always see Web3 gaming as a niche, or do you think it breaks into the broader gaming business?
Well, I think if we are in that industry is because we believe that we are in the 100x industry, and what this means is that the biggest games will have NFTs enabled from the get-go, and that you'll have by default ownership of assets, and that's personally what I'm sort of fighting for. Is I think the economies that are worth billions on Counter-Strike, should be owned by the players, and they should own their assets. Now, obviously, it will take a ton of time to get there, but yeah, I think we won't talk about Web3 gaming. It's just NFTs is going to be a feature. So, like, if you play that game, does that have NFTs? And that's just a functionality. It won't be called like a Web3 game. Also, it's just sort of two paths. One is, okay, the dev owns it, the other path is I own it. And I think in a world where you own less and less on like the big things like real estate or finance, and like the big boys own the stuff, I think at a small scale and on your metaverse or on your virtual world, you will want to own the few things that you can actually own. And I think, gaming assets is something that seems pretty small, but I think will make a meaningful difference if you can actually own it.
I completely agree. People are sentimental to the things that they earn and covet in their inventories. It's simple as that. If I could have monetized my Call of Duty Warzone inventory years back before Web3 gaming blew up, man, I'd be maybe I'd still be doing that, collecting skins. I'm not too sure, but this gives us the power to do so.
Yeah. Well, on a bigger message, I think the world is going in a direction where just wealth is getting concentrated in the hands of just a few, and that means a lot of people will own absolutely nothing in their lifetime. And so if what you do online can actually be owned by you, I think people will come to the realization that if I do something that has value, I should own it, because on some other aspects, I never be able to own some stuff.
Yeah. As dark as that sounds on the surface, it's definitely 100% true. So, as they say, like gaming does provide an escape in some of those mechanisms. And that's just how it is, right? Like, that's just calling it how it is. Connor, what do you think as far as will Web3 gaming forever be like a subsector of gaming? Or do you think it breaks into the broader, like I said, the gaming industry?
If only I could have owned my GTA $5 that I spent so much time grinding for.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with Lou. We wouldn't be in the space if we didn't believe this is the future of gaming. I actually read a pretty interesting conversation. 𝗓𝗏𝗏, the founder of 𝗙𝗪𝗏, was speaking on X the other day, and he was speaking about consumer crypto and that basically users. The goal is for users to actually not even know that they're using blockchain or NFT technology, and that's just the back end, So I think that one, funding in the Web3 gaming industry is massive, so much so that the best in the business can come over, and I think we have started to attract top devs and companies, game studios, so we will see better and better games coming out, and I think it's Off the Grid was the first game on the PlayStation Store and Xbox Store, and I think it'll be the first of many, so really excited for that.
Yeah, as simple as it sounds, it's such a big thing. It's like the first games that listed on Epic Game Store. It should become the standard, but right now that is like a big hurdle that it feels like we've gotten over. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see once Off the Grid hits Xbox, gets a little more publicity out there, how the sentiment is, but it seems great so far. And then I kind of wanted to ask, while we're on the topic of like traditional versus Web3 games, how did you guys kind of manage to break into the esports scene and get these esports teams on board when so many people feel like on the surface level, Web2 gamers and these traditional, organizations, they hate crypto. They don't want NFTs in their game, or they want to steer clear. They don't want to involve their audience in that. How did you guys maybe get over that hurdle to get esports teams at the level of Team Liquid, which is at near the top of the totem pole, to kind of jump in and get involved?
Yeah, and Team Liquid is as far as we've announced is the biggest one, but there is one that's coming that's bigger. Just wanted to put this out there because super excited for it.
We love Alpha.
I know a team will look at it, and the team is working super hard on it. But the point is, it just comes back to products. Is they actually build great products. Now, we are backed by XBorg, and more than backed is we don't have we've never sold equity, but the only company that owns part of our equity is XBorg. XBorg is a very reputable entity. And obviously, having that backing when you come to an esports team, they know you're not a scammer. They know you're regulated and that you have strong backing. So I think when you come to an esports team, it depends on who you are. And if you're a new player, or like if you're on a non-team that's trying to build shady stuff and you're coming to an esports team, so it's not going to work. So reputation is one. Then it's how you care about them. We've never come to an esports team and say, hey, you need Web3 absolutely. We're even to a point where we can just build tech for them, but there is no Web3 that you see at first sight. But then actually help them understand what it means to build with Web3 and what are the pros of building with Web3. So if we take the case of Team Liquid, Team Liquid fans are not particularly interested in Web3, but the infra that we've built is on top of 𝗬, and 𝗬 has such a great UX that I feel is completely like going under the radar. But like if you go on the Team Liquid app, you see no sign of NFTs at all. You sign in with what we call ZK login. That's just Google login or Twitch login that creates a wallet. In the backend, you don't even have to know what's a private key or even what's a wallet. You interact on the app, you meet NFTs, then you can trade NFTs, and you don't know these are NFTs. And so when a team looks at it, they understand what's the added value of NFTs. Well, when an esports team looks at it, you essentially have no cons for the player. And then obviously money comes into play because there are big deals between blockchains and teams. So we usually come as a sort of middleman building the tech in between. But yeah, I think it comes back to fundamentals like products, how good you can make the UX. And we've announced 𝗬 as a partner, but we're working with other partners that are building a pretty sick UX. And yeah, that's how we get to build with the top guns in the esports industry.
Awesome. Yeah, it's good to hear that. Connor, I see you unmuted.
Yeah, and to add to that, I've chatted with the Liquid team quite extensively, and one of the things that they are really interested in is pushing the boundaries on innovating in terms of fan experiences, and they're very interested in digital ownership and how they can how it benefits fans and fandom. So that's something that really took me back, and I was really encouraged by seeing that, and very much excited to work with them and push those boundaries with them. They very much see Web3 as the next step in gaming and in like fan experiences. Another team that we're working with pretty closely might be Team BDS. The app we build them is 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. They quite interested in the idea of decentralized esports teams, tokenizing an esports team, and what does that bring to the fan? How can that increase their fan experience, ownership, decision making? When it comes to being a fan of an esports team, and I think that's really cool. So Web3, just because they in the Web2 space, they are still seeing the value, and they do want to explore that.
And I think just lastly, and you had this project called Creator League. I've lost track of time at this point. I don't know when that was, but that was in the bear market, and you had some big influencers behind, and feel like that was a pretty interesting point for Web3 gaming because had a ton of FUD, and a lot of teams still mention that as one of their fears. But what actually ends up happening is if there is clear communication that yes, there are NFTs and that's why we're doing it as an entity, the relationship between these sports teams and the fans just gets much better. If there is just transparency about it and you're being like honest that yes, there are NFTs and that's why we're doing it. Some deals are so big between the blockchains and the esports team that financially it'd be just completely ridiculous, especially given the state of esports, to not accept the deal. And I think fans would much rather have an esports team that embraces new tech than having an esports team that does not want to partner with like blockchain companies and like shut down. And you have teams like Complexity that are very close to. Actually, can't mention too much of that. Yeah, we'll get onto it someday.
Reading between the lines, you're dropping alpha. We like it. Yeah, I think it's great points made across the board. I think the esports industry could use a little Web3 integration as time goes on. I think it is a healthy progression and like you said, the business model, it's got to be hard for them to turn down some of these deals, but with the credibility that XBorg has with their backing, it does make total sense why they're willing to kind of go that extra step with you guys. And let's get into what everyone's looking forward to, August 19th, which is the token. Obviously long awaited. I think, I mean, you guys have been building and kind of just in the background as far as the token and everything like that for quite a while. So I'm really excited for the official launch. Can we go over what exactly the XBorg token is going to be used for in the ecosystem? And then I want to talk about kind of it's a very community bootstrapped type of token. So I think you guys really did a unique way of kind of going to market. So first of all, let's just talk about the utility of the XBG token.
Yep. Biggest utility, well, today, because we're still building part of our core infra, like we've partnered with those teams. The apps are live, but much of the bigger utilities will come after launch. So the one I want to mention first, which is not the most important, well, it is the most important today because we're still building, but won't be the most important at a given time frame, is governance, is because we're building this together with our community. And a lot of people mention governance, and I think governance for a lot of projects is a complete meme. They just throw it because it just sounds like a great utility. The difference with us is we're actually truly embracing governance. What I mean by this is the launch strategy that we'll get into, our community decided for it. Whether we should have a KOL investment rounds, community voted for it. Community voted for virtually any significant milestone of XBorg, and it will continue to do so. So when it comes to how we allocate treasury, how we do partnerships, on whether we launch on a given sex, that's going to be the community that votes on those points. And I think if you look at just our snapshot page, you'll see there's tons of activity there. Then as we expand our network of esports teams and we build apps with those teams, XBG will be this payment method that you see on the apps. So can't leak too much on this, but for example, we'll announce an Asian team, a Korean team that today has, on their current app, they have 50,000 paying members to access like a premium part of that app. And we'll essentially have the equivalent on an XBorg powered app, but the primary payment method is XBG. So what that means is you'll have a lot of payment flow via our own token. On the different apps that you see, you have like a big avatar, and that's how you build your identity. You have wearables on those avatars, and you'll be able to buy those avatars. And again, for this, XBG is the primary payment gateway or payment sort of mean of payments. And that's substantial because the esports teams that we're targeting are much bigger than, I would say, even the whole industry. Like Team Liquid itself is, has more fans than the accumulated amount of players, and that means XBG will be the preferred payment of payment there. The other thing is the incentives and revenue share. We've never sold equity. A reason for it is we want to concentrate the value accrual on the token holders and not equity holders. So what that means is the revenues that today we generate, and we generate revenues via the esports team partnerships that we do, those go to the token holders. Not all of it, because we need to keep the operational team and the core team afloat. But you have to see it as dividends as we build the ecosystem. And the other thing that we have is, for example, we have a launchpad. Community was a strong advocate of having early deals, and I think so far we had like 15 plus deals, like Bullnest, for example, or Fableborn on the launchpad, and it's going to be gated by XBG. Today it's gated by our NFT, but at launch it's going to be our own token. And lastly, that's not coming this year, is the gas token. Is today the apps that we're building are, let's say, chain agnostic, but they will all fall under one chain. It's going to be the the XBG chain. Today was small, like too small for it, but as soon as we hit 1 million users, which we believe we'll be able to hit by the end of the year, that's going to be where we launch our chain, and then XBG is going to be the gas token for it.
Yeah, I think the token covers so many grounds in a good way. And then, like you said, a lot of protocols, their governance token is not it doesn't govern anything. Where I love that, like, this can really, like, it sinks its teeth into a bunch of parts of the ecosystem, which I actually I appreciate as far as a team that's doing it right, because it feels like governance tokens have completely been done wrong over the course of time. And then obviously, like, very fair launch, 100% like community. How did you guys kind of go about this launch? What makes it a little different from the recent low float, high FTV stuff that we've seen? Because I feel like that's what's been crushing the gaming space as far as tokens go, or all these flashy new tokens. But then you look at the intricacies of the tokenomics and it's kind of like, ooh, that could be rough over the next 6 months with the unlocks and dilution. So how did you guys kind of mold that around what you've seen to come up with this model?
I think first is looking at the current state of crypto and current state of gaming. If you ask the question on where do you think we are in the gaming space, or how do we think of this underperformance, these are questions that I had and the team had to ask. Like, we had to ask ourselves: is what do we learn from the last launches, and is there something better that we can do? Plus, how are the conversations and deals going with the exchanges? We found ourselves in a situation where we had deals with some tier one, like one specific tier one exchange, which to us did not seem like it was great for both short, medium, and long term. I would say it was too predatory as far as our treasury is concerned, but also our community. When you have a centralized exchange that wants to get 2% of your circulating supply and wants to get a good chunk of your treasury, it's not really healthy for us. We've built for 2 years. It's not to sacrifice, a third of our runway on the listing. Plus, when we look at down-only performances, we have to ask ourselves why that is the case, and we believe that's the case because of what you said, like of dilution. And you also have net value extractive actors in the space, and market makers are one. Exchanges are one overall. And what that means is if you can get rid of this overhang, like from market makers and exchanges, at least in the first part of your launch, you're more likely to do well. And then, otherwise, what we've learned from entities which I respect, but like Portalcoin, Block Games, like all of it, essentially the recent project that had a pre-sale, is you just see a slow bleed, and I would much rather see who has conviction and who wants to stay in the boat, and have them leave very fast and have them just I can't be looking at the token that's just done only. So to us, it just seems a lot better to do like no one's going to be dumping on the community except the community, because we've only raised from the community, and there will be, I guess Monday is going to be pretty tumultuous, but the days after will be much better because there is no overhang, and that's also what we've learned from Pirate Nation, for example, or my pets hooligan.
Yeah, I think those are the two examples too. You let your community do what they're gonna do. Like, there will be some people that want to quote unquote take profits out. There will be people who maybe just got in to try to sell the whole bag, but once they're out, it's so healthy for the token at that point in time. So I do think that model has proven to work very, very well. Is there anything I didn't hit on? Obviously, this is listing on Swissborg, Raydium, and Uniswap. Is that right?
Yeah. So wanna say that we're just not launching on a centralized exchange first. That will come. And by the way, governance will decide on it. We already have like terms written down on like proposal that's already ready to be sent out. But it's going to be no market makers initially. is going to be purely organic. So it's like essentially everyone that invested, they have their token, they have 100% unlocked, which we've never seen in like sort of big projects, I think. And that means we have a much higher float than most projects. But yeah, we will eventually get a SEX, get a market maker. You showed a video of like, F SEX, F market makers. We still think that they are playing an important role for the space, and we still think that if the community agrees that yes, it's a value positive for the token, we'll go for it. But community will decide. Will not be the ones that will decide on this.
Yeah. No, I love it. I think the whole go-to-market strategy, the mentality behind it, like you said, centralized exchanges can come when that time is right. But I think having the power of, being backed by XBorg, listed on XBorg, that's a big deal. So I think that alone almost functions like its own centralized exchange for that niche market in a way. So,
and our view is, so first, how XBorg does it. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of what they do. We're super close to them. We're building with them at this stage. But XBorg is plugged onto Solana. So that's why we have a token on both Solana and Ethereum, which is bridgeable via wormhole. As we believe that the future of launches is one that's going to be a lot more fair and starting on chain. And we believe that it's also a thesis of Coinbase, and that's why they have Base as a blockchain, is they understand that crypto will come a lot more to decentralization and centralization. Today, if founders are listening to this, and you probably interacted with centralized exchanges, but you know how rigged the game is as far as listing is concerned, you know how centralized that is, and we believe that will resolve to a more decentralized approach. We are very early into that step, but we believe must, and hopefully we pave the way for like a successful trajectory so that a lot more projects dare to go that way. Had a lot of founders say you're bold to do it because we're taking a risk. We could have launched on Bybit or so, like KuCoin and like Gates, and just do the normal stuff, but like we're trying to do otherwise. Our community is supportive of it, and we'll see how it goes, but hopefully we set a good precedent for the whole space here.
Yeah, definitely. I love the mentality, like I said. And, to be honest, everyone's done the Bybit, KuCoin, Mexi trio on launch. Like, why do the exact same thing that 99% of the other projects have, right? So I don't think that's moving the needle maybe as much as it once did. And then the last thing, quick, I know I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time. We're almost hitting our time slot here, but the reward program went live yesterday. How can people get involved in this for the people that invested, or even what actions could someone take if they haven't invested in the pre-sale?
Yeah, I would say, so if you've invested, you can just head over to xbg.expo.com/pledge. If you've invested, or if you have like NFTs of ecosystem, you'll see a token balance. You can pledge that. It's essentially saying that you'll get rewards if you don't sell on like I think the first week also, and that's just the first what we call the pre-season, but there will be season 1, 2, etc. Where we will give you rewards, just like a staking program. The rewards depend on your contribution to the ecosystem. So if you're an active voter on governance proposal, or if you've interacted on the apps, you have more or less a high or low reward rate, and then you'll essentially, that's how we give back to the community. And if you're sidelines, I would say just watch on day one. Do not FOMO. I think FOMO is never benefits you. But watch how it's doing. It's a new launch type, so don't buy on first hour or first minute. Just watch how it goes, and then if you enjoy the ride, just join the ride. See how we're building, see the teams that we're building with, see the traction on our ecosystem, and then head over to our Discord, follow us on Twitter, and enjoy the ride after that.
Yeah, for sure. So XBorg HQ on Twitter. It's just xborg.com. Where else? Do you have a Discord, Telegram? Where can they jump into the community?
Yeah, Discord. The vanity link is Discord. I think GG/invites/XBorg HQ on Twitter. We'll open a Telegram just at the token launch. And then yeah, you can also give us a follow. Like, founders, we interact quite a bit. We drop some alpha. So if you want to get some, like, the earliest drop, you can head over and follow Connor and follow myself on Twitter.
Yeah, I'll link both of you guys' Twitter and the official XBorg Twitter down below in the description. But guys, I really appreciate you spending the time. I know it's a busy time period. I've never launched a token, but I know that's got to be a super hectic process. A lot of people pulling you a lot of different ways. So thanks for spending literally almost, feels like we're 40 minutes in, so almost an hour with the community today, and just kind of sharing your thoughts. So guys, like the video, subscribe down below. Like I said, we're pushing towards that 100K. Help us out. And if you're bullish on XBorg and the future of Web3 gaming, let us know in the description down below. And guys, we'll have to do this again as the project evolves and as gaming progresses.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's day. And as always, play well, my friends.
Yo.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.